and move into section 2, which we will be calling Getting Athletic. So, as you can see, if you are watching on the platform behind me over there, Ooh. NBA starting this week. We got Jokic, Davies, and Giannis. Those are the only 3 I decided to put up today. But NBA starting this week. Now, I know Tev and I are generally football-centric people. We're trying to diversify ourselves. You know, we're trying to make sure that we stay relevant, stay woke. I can't believe I just used that phrase. Anyway, so we wanted to talk a little bit just about the NBA. Obviously, for returning listeners, you know that we generally go a little bit deeper than just a recap of what's happening, which we will be doing. But first and foremost, I just wanted to say that the tournament the NBA League is due to start on the 19th of October. There's some really, really exciting matches in the first week that will have been played by the time we release this episode. So the first one being the Celtics and the 76ers. 76ers have a new looking outfit. Obviously, we know Joel Embiid. He's been something. He's really been pretty good. The Celtics, they were runner up last year. They've got quite a young, exciting roster going into this season. So that's a good one. And then on the West Coast, we've got the Lakers playing the Warriors. Which for me is that's a highlight game for me because I don't really know if I have a team. Maybe I'll start by asking you, Tev, do you support anyone specific in the NBA?
Oh, I need to become a lot more invested in the NBA. I've kind of followed players more so than I have teams. Obviously, everyone would notable teams would be the Chicago Bulls from the MJ days. Everyone knows that. You know, the LA Lakers from Kobe's time, and obviously now LeBron, part of that roster. It's almost like the star-studded team. So I think I would gravitate towards something
as a City fan.
Oh, there you go. Where's the money? I would have even given a go with the Nets. You know, they've also had star-studded teams, but there's so much movement in the NBA as well. So for the purposes of this conversation, let's say I am backing King LeBron. So I'll be a Lakers fan.
A Lakers fan. Okay. There we go. Okay. Fair enough. I think the challenges with NBA is, firstly, if you don't live in America, the time difference works well for me in Thailand. I can actually watch the games in the morning. It works out quite well. Like Saturday morning, you wake up, what you doing, fam? Nothing, just watching some NBA. That's quite nice. But so the timing is one thing. And then the second thing is, you touched on it, there's this movement with players, makes it quite difficult to gain loyalty as someone who doesn't live in America. So more often than not, people will either support the team that they went to. Let's say they went to college in that state, they'll support that team. Or if they grew up there, they will support that team. Or if let's say even their parents come from, let's say Sacramento, but then they move to Boston, but the dad or the mom is a big fan of the Sacramento Kings, and then that gets passed on to the kids. You know, so you get that, the tribalism in terms of location, I find when I speak to Americans, and it's difficult to associate to that as a non-American. Obviously, we don't have association towards states. You know, like I kind of like the Lakers as well. I like LeBron. I spent a little bit of time in LA. I went to Staples Center. I didn't watch a game, but I went there, so I kind of have that association to it. But I have zero loyalty. Okay, I buy these. My loyalty lies with Arsenal, but when it comes to NBA, I just buy sick-looking jerseys that have players that I like. You know, so
and a rundown of those players.
Well, you can see the 3 behind me. Davis a bit injury prone. Giannis, oh my goodness, the Greek freak. He's awesome to watch. Antetokounmpo, I think he's my favorite player to watch. Jokic, beautiful to watch. Ja Morant. Luka Doncic, it's kind of like the normal household names, you know, that, and, you know, like a few silent players. I have a friend here, a close friend who's a supporter of the Celtics, and he's very knowledgeable about basketball. So when I talk to him, obviously his biases rub off on me. So I like the Celtics a lot. Tatum, Brown, that whole team. Robert Williams, not everybody knows him, but he's one of their centers. He's really cool to watch. So I think for me, that's where I land on the NBA. But I thought what could be nice for us to chat a little bit about is Draymond Green, just a little bit about what happened there. But basically, Draymond Green is what we consider a veteran or an older player. Jordan Poole being one of the younger, kind of up-and-coming players. Not new, but maybe fourth season in the NBA, so still a bit of a youngster. And there's no audio in the video I saw, or if there is audio, it's a bit unclear. And it looks like Jordan Poole says something to Draymond Green, and then he goes and he punches him and then follows up. I think he actually kind of UFC style wants to like climb over him and like really get into it, and people had to like kind of pull him apart. And it was kind of controversial in the sense of some people thought he was going to be kicked off the Warriors roster. Yeah, some people were saying, LeBron's going to bring him to Lakers, because actually LeBron builds his own rosters, they say. But a lot of people thought he was going to be going to the Lakers. Okay. So, that was quite something. And there's speculation that Draymond Green's contract situation is running out and that he's jealous of Jordan Poole, but I think that's just sensationalism. But this kind of leads into, I wanted to talk to you like a little bit about, we've spoken about this in the past, the kind of role of these like the sportsmen, etc. And what I wanted to ask you is, they would start the season off with a ring ceremony, obviously, right? Like, because they won last year. Yeah. Now, obviously, this is going to be kind of at the center of it. Everyone's kind of going to be talking about it, So in a case like this, how do you think it should be handled? Like, if you were the general manager, let's put you in a position of power. Oof. How do you handle something? I mean, I know we don't have a context of the whole thing of like what happened in what led to this, but how do you deal with this?
I think the generally, and I think I've seen it a few times in football as an example, where if there's some controversy surrounding a player, so be it that they were keen for a move out, it was the end of the transfer window, we thought it was almost a done deal, and it never happened. Yeah. You think that has it plays on the mind of the player, and moving into the first game of the season, which is very important, you want to start off on the best possible foot. Ideal measure, I think, is people to put that player aside in a way. So either bench them or you leave them out just for that specific game there. So the players that were in contention with this matter, so being Jordan Poole and Draymond Green in this instance, have them just be taken out of the media limelight. Although, to an extent,
the ring ceremony.
Not the ring ceremony. So just
the game. Just
the actual game. So have them be a part of the team dynamic when it comes to the ring ceremony. I mean, they earn their places for that.
Yeah.
So props should be given to them. They should be a part of that. In terms of the game, when I'm taking into consideration the team dynamic, because how well the team is gelling. Yeah. I need to take that into consideration for the actual game. So I'd probably rest both Poole and Draymond Green. Unless these are my key players for my strategy to win the game. So I, as the coach, would rest both players. At least bench them for the game.
I think what did end up happening is he was fined, which I don't know how much. It was an undisclosed amount. Jordan Poole came out and obviously Draymond Green came out and publicly apologized. What was interesting about his apology was that it was at Jordan Poole, but he also gave a bit of an apology to the family. He was like, like how this moment is taking away from the ring ceremony, which I thought, you showing your maturity here. If only you had shown it instead of punching the guy. And he was super angry about the video getting leaked. And I was like, mate, if you didn't punch him, there would be nothing to leak.
There would be anything to report on.
That kind of attitude always annoys me. Like, oh man, like I can't believe like this video got leaked. It's like, but don't give them videos to leak. Like, why are you doing this to yourself? You're making excuses here. But Jordan Poole did also come out and he didn't say much about the event. What he did say is that we are champions. We know how to be champions, and we will do what we have to be to stay champions. So we will play together, no problem. And he didn't actually talk about any personal issues. So I guess we'll see. I plan on watching the game, so I'll hear what they say about it. And actually, funny enough, now we've spoken about the Warriors, I think maybe we can spend 2 or 3 minutes talking about this. On the Lakers side,
yes,
LeBron James,
King James.
A household name. Yes, sir. So just an interesting for our kind of neutral, just sports listeners that don't really follow. LeBron James, everybody knows who he is, but I don't know if everybody knows that his intention is to play with his oldest son, who is Bronny. Now, if he does manage to, I think Bronny is due to start in 2 years. If he does manage to play with him, he will be the first person ever to be on the same roster, father and son, being on the same roster. Yes. Yeah, so that would be quite cool. He's super athletic. Last season, he had a very good, albeit the Lakers didn't have a strong season, he was still showing at 36 years old that he can climb and that he's strong and etc. And I look forward to watching him this season. He really is some other animal watching him play, man. It's so cool. Different gravy, let's say. But I wanted to ask you, so there's a lot of people that talk about Bronny as an athlete who is talented, but some say not quite a first pick kind of player. But now a lot of these teams understand that if you draft Bronny, you get LeBron as a package deal. Yeah. He'll go wherever he needs to go. And arguably, as soon as you sign LeBron, you sell probably enough jerseys to make a lot of money. You start selling stadium. How many people are going to be going to these games to watch Bronny and LeBron play together? You make that money back. So it's not really going to cost the team much, right?
Yeah.
My question to you is, I guess this is nepotism in sport to an extent. How do you think it feels for Bronny? Do you think this is something he should use to drive himself, or how do you think? Because this is his situation, right? How do you think it feels for him if you were to try and put yourself in his shoes?
Taking what he tweeted and said to reporters, I found that interesting, and I do give him a lot of credit for that. He came out saying, "Look, I'm not fazed about being the first pick. I just want to play basketball," and that's a really good headspace to be in. Actually unbelievable to think that he's just okay, and that the family's okay with him just playing basketball, given the legacy that LeBron has built, given all this weight that we put on his shoulders for him to live up to the expectation of the James name. It's a lot to carry. I would wonder if, number one, he dreamt of basketball being his career as opposed to just being his passion and his hobby. So that's kind of what I would first ask. But for him, I think it's great. You already put in a very privileged position that you have all of these people looking to scout you, looking to get you on their respective rosters. So you 50 meters into a 100-meter race already, just from the get-go. So now, if you're performing, it's highlighting you even more, and you can kind of start to produce your own legacy. So that's obviously first option. Second,
difficult one to overcome, but
try and live up to. But if that doesn't go well, hey man, you're still LeBron James's kid. You're playing basketball. It's something that both you and your family love. It's the joy of basketball, which I think is really cool. So just to see them, even if LeBron and Bronny don't have a great season together, but they get the opportunity to play together, that will just make, I think, every sports person's dream come true.
Yeah, and I think, like the nice thing about this is, look, you could be cynical and say, like, it's easy to turn around and say, oh, I don't care about when I get drafted. It's like saying, like, oh, I don't really care about what food I eat when you have a full fridge, right? It's easy to, you know what I'm saying? But that's a cynical approach, and I'm not going to take that. But what I will say is this: I think it's commendable of him to have that attitude. I've watched a few clips. I mean, not much, but I've seen something. He looks like he can ball, at least like he did. Apparently, the youngest son, Bryce, apparently he's a baller. They say that kid balls. Like they say Bronny's good, but they say Bryce is a baller.
He's made for the big time, essentially.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. So what I will say, what's quite cool about this is, like, as a general sports fan, we look at like these events that happen, or Usain Bolt wouldn't have run as fast as he had run if somebody didn't run as fast as they did beforehand, right?
True.
That as humans, we push each other to the next level, to the next extent. And I think this is a great example. Athletes like LeBron James, Cristiano Ronaldo, Zlatan would like to be mentioned in this conversation, but I don't think he's at the same kind of level. But athletes like that are really showing like what you can do, and like the limits you can push yourself to. And I think, if anything, that's a really cool thing to look at. Like, to look at, like, he's working so hard for this thing, pushing his body to the limits, and I think that's really, really awesome. And he actually said that he believes he could play with Bryce as well. He believes his body can carry him.
Actually insane. Like,
can you imagine Bryce, Bronny, LeBron? Like, that's a record that I don't think will ever be broken. Like, a father and two 100%. Sons on the same roster.
And it's going to be curious to see how well he plays. I think the kind of mental beast he is, he'd want to try and keep up with this level, just under this level of performance, even when they eventually come into the NBA, which will be good to see. Like, you'd think that a person like LeBron wouldn't just come on for a quick 2 minutes, have a free throw, go and sit
he doesn't.
No, not that kind of. And it's actually very interesting to see. I think he's coming up on the all-time points record of the NBA.
And I think assists as well, maybe. Maybe not assists, but he's coming up.
Been held for decades now. Kareem, Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah, he's got it,
So, the man is littered with records. It'll be very interesting to see how well his sons perform. And, at the base of it, I'd just like to see the family dynamic playing. I mean, lots of sports, you get a lot of backing and joy seeing brothers or sisters play on the same team. So to see the father-son dynamic would be really cool to see.
Yeah, no, and I think, season starting soon. That's a really, really cool place. We wish LeBron James all the best. We know he doesn't listen. I know I've thrown names of big guys that listen. LeBron doesn't listen. Not yet, anyway, to the big one. But we wish him all the best, and I hope he has a successful season as a LeBron fan. And I think that's a really, really nice place to wrap up on section 2, the sports section over there. But NBA season coming up. I'll keep you posted. I'll be watching it. So stay tuned. I might hop in every now and again on an episode and give my very limited scope on the NBA. But I guess that's that for me.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that. The recap of the games, what went well, what you thought was a surprise. I think maybe we could see a few upsets in these opening fixtures. So we'll be keeping an eye on that title. We'll report back.
Gotcha. I gotcha.
But remember, like, subscribe, comment, share, engage with us. Who do you think is going to take it, the NBA this year? Who do you think is going to be the MVP? Give us your predictions. We want to know. It's the beginning of the season, and then we'll touch base as the season goes on to see who was closest, who was right, and kind of the upsets as well from the season.
Yep. Sounds good.